Hello, so you may remember from a previous lecture that there are three main types of transformations. We already went over one of them, a translation, and today we're going to go over reflections. A reflection is a transformation that uses a line like a mirror to reflect an image. The mirror line is called the line of reflection. So I think the best way to get these concepts across is just by heading on into an example. I think that's the best way for you to learn this material. So moving right along. The vertices of triangle ABC are A is 1, 3, B is 5, 2, and C is 2, 1. Graph the reflection of triangle ABC in the line x equals 3. Okay, so that's the prompt. And so the first thing I would do is graph triangle ABC on the coordinate plane. So we have A is 1, 3. Let me try that again. A is 1, 3, right? It's 1 to the right and then 3 up. And B is 5, 2. And C is 2, 1. And we need to graph the reflection in the line x equals 3. And remember that the mirror line is called the line of reflection, and it kind of acts like a mirror. So the line of reflection would be x equals 3 in this case, right? The line x equals 3. And it acts like a plane mirror, like a mirror. So if this point is 2 to the left of the line of reflection, then the image is going to be 2 to the right. Okay, just like in a real mirror. You'll learn when you take your, intro to physics class, physics at the high school level, that if you're standing 4 feet in front of a mirror, your image appears to be 4 feet behind the mirror. If you're standing 2 feet in front of a mirror, your image appears to be 2 feet behind the mirror, etc. So, the closer you get to the mirror, the closer the image seems to get to the plane of the mirror itself. So again, if this is where A is, then A prime will be on the other side of the mirror, the same distance from the pre-image to the mirror, or the line of reflection, is equal to the same distance from the line of reflection to the image. Okay, so that would be where my A prime is. And then the same for B. So B is the pre-image is 2 to the right, so the B prime will be 2 to the left. And then C is 1 to the left, so where do you think C prime would be? Okay, you can pause this presentation anytime you'd like and answer that yourself, but I will continue. It will be 1 to the right. Since the pre-image is 1 to the left, the image will be 1 to the right. And once you have all the vertices down, then you merely connect them, and that's the reflection. So A prime, B prime, C prime in red is said to be the reflection of triangle ABC in the line x equals 3. Okay? So that's one way to calculate the reflection. You can merely count, well, if this is 2 to the left of the line of reflection, that must be 2 to the right. So that's one way to do it, by counting. There's also another way, okay? And you would want to write these down. You will be responsible for knowing these. These are the coordinate rules for reflections. You can also find reflections or perform reflections by using coordinate rules. So if AB is reflected in the x-axis, its image is the point A negative B. So what that means here, let me get this going here. This might take me a moment. Please bear with me. But if you have, say, this plane here, x and y coordinates, then if AB is reflected in the x-axis, so that would mean, say, like this. Let me see if this works. If it's reflected in the x-axis, which is that, then its image is the point A negative B. Okay? So if it was, say, 4, 2, right? For example, it was 4, 2, and it's reflected in the x-axis, then the point becomes 4, negative 2. Okay? And next, if AB is reflected in the y-axis, its image is the point negative AB. So in other words, if this is in the y-axis, okay, if that's your line of reflection, then its image is the point negative AB. So in other words, if this was, say, the point 2, 3, then this would be the point negative 2, 3, right? Be the opposite of A, but you keep the same B. Okay? And then, if AB is reflected in the line y equals x, that would be this. That's y equals x. Then its image is the point BA. So if this was the point, say, 4, 5, then this would be the point 5, 4. Okay? And finally, if AB is reflected in the line y equals negative x, its image is the point B, negative A. So I'm working on this one right here. And if the line is reflected, or if the figure is reflected in the line y equals negative x, so that yellow line is y equals negative x, then its image is negative B, negative A. So in other words, if it was like, say, 6, negative 4, then this would be 4, negative 6. Okay? You switch the two and you change their signs. Okay? So those are the rules that you will be responsible for. We will work with these. You need to understand them and know how to use them. Okay? Okay, so let's use the coordinate rules for reflections to solve this problem. Example 2. Reflect triangle ABC from example 1 in the line y equals negative x. So since I'm working with y equals negative x, that must be this rule right here, right? It's reflected in the line y equals negative x, and so the image is going to be the opposite of B, comma, the opposite of A. So in other words, you switch the coordinates and you switch the signs. So let's see how that works. So in example 1, coordinate A was 1, 3. So in A prime, what do you think is going to go here? Well, using this rule, it's going to be the 3, right? But it's going to be also the opposite. So it's negative 3. So the answer is the new x-coordinate is negative 3. And then, what do you think will go in this y-coordinate? Well, you take the opposite of A in this case, and so if A was 1, it will now be negative 1. And similarly with point B, B is 5, 2, what's B prime going to be? You can try to solve this on your own if you'd like. You can pause this presentation and try to do the x and y coordinates for point B and point C, and then play the rest of this presentation and see if you're right. But for the sake of this presentation, I will continue. So if the point is 5, 2, then my x-coordinate is going to be negative 2. See, I take this 2 and I put it in this new position. You switch positions, right? And you also switch the signs. If it was positive, you make it negative, and if it was negative, you make it positive. So this is going to be the point negative 2, negative 5. So B prime is negative 2, negative 5. And then if C is the point 2, 1, what is C prime going to be? Well, you take this one and you put it here, so that'll be a 1. And you take this and you put it there, so that will be a 2, okay, but you switch the signs. So it's going to be negative 1, negative 2. Okay, negative 1, negative 2. So let's graph that and see if that makes sense. So this is my pre-image or my object, right, from example 1. And then here's the reflection in the line y equals negative x. Does that make sense? Okay, well, if it's reflected in the line y equals negative x, that's the line y equals negative x right there. So let's see if that makes sense. Remember, this is my line of reflection. It's like my plane mirror. And so if that's my mirror, let me put my eyeball there, and let me see if that makes sense. Do you think that makes sense? That if this is your object or your pre-image, right, you have an object there, like a triangular shaped object, and you put it in front of this mirror here, and you were looking at it from this vantage point, would it look like to you that the image is behind the mirror as far as the object or pre-image is in front? And I would say yes, that does make sense. Okay, so that is my pre-image after a reflection in the line y equals negative x. And then also, I just wanted to make this one last point, that a reflection is an isometry. Okay? A reflection, like a translation, moves the figure, but it does not change its size or shape. Okay? So that's the end of the lecture. If you have any questions or concerns, as always, please feel free to contact me at your convenience, and it would be my pleasure to answer your questions or address any concerns you might have. Okay? Bye-bye. Okay, and I just noticed that I inadvertently called this a pre-image. It's not a pre-image, it's an image. Okay, this is called the object or pre-image, and then after the reflection, what you get is called the image. All right? Bye-bye.